Next week during the Sunday School Hour, we will show Breakthrough, a movie about early British missionary James O. Fraser. Fraser worked among the Lisu people of China, developing a script for their language and then translating the Bible into Lisu. The effects of Fraser's work and ministry are still felt today. The Lisu still use his script and translation.
James Outram Fraser, cum laude.
He gave up a promising career and potential fame. He travelled around the world and lived among them, working alone most of the time. He learned their language, created a writing system, preached the good news, and translated scriptures. But after 6 years, relatively few people were interested, and no church had been formed, even with a tremendous prayer of faith in recent months. And Fraser had an invitation to serve elsewhere.
Perhaps this is not God's time. Is it right for me to stay on, waiting and praying, when workers are urgently needed in more fruitful fields?
What happened to James O. Fraser and the Lisu people will surprise and inspire you.
The theme of the Missions Conference is Let the Nations Be Glad. We've invited a speaker from Operation Mobilization, Gary Witherall. His wife was killed in Lebanon, but he forgave the killer and continued to minister there. Here is his testimony.
God's story in our lives is the most powerful story. My story really begins in England. When I was 17 years old, I had a motorbike crash and ended up in intensive care. I should have died, but somehow I survived. And I really sensed in my spirit that God had preserved my life for a purpose. And there, while in hospital, I dedicated my life to the Lord. My name is Gary from England, and I grew up as a child in the city of Plymouth. I always imagined myself somehow traveling and seeing the world, but I could never have imagined what I was going to experience. So the Lord led me out of England when I was 20 and started traveling with OM to maybe more than 50 nations. After getting married, the Lord led Bonnie and I to Lebanon, which is on the Mediterranean. Bonnie was working as a prenatal nurse in a medical clinic. We were there to become part of the community, learn the language, fall in love with the people. In November 2002, a man came up into the clinic, up the stairs to the second level where the clinic is, knocked on the door, and as she opened the door, I imagine with a smile on her face, he lifted a gun to her face and shot her 3 times and killed her right there. I was laying on the ground in the clinic floor near to where Bonnie's body was, and I was waiting for a gunman to put a bullet in the back of my head. I realized at that place, Lord, because you've forgiven me of so much, I can forgive whoever killed my wife.